Hola a todos! In this video I'm going to explain how to smash the 40-mark literature question part of paper 2 at A-Level Spanish. I'll go through the mark scheme and explain how to structure your answer, using advice from the examiners. For the most part, the information is applicable to both AQA and Edexcel exam boards. Firstly, going through the basics. All this information is available on the AQA website. So, students are advised to write approximately 300 words per essay. In my experience, you usually always end up writing closer to 450 words, but it's good to know AQA don't expect you to be able to write so much. And everything that students write will be marked, so there is no word limit. It also says that students who write the recommended number of words will have access to the whole full range of marks. The actual paper is 2 hours long, and you have to answer two 40-mark questions, so it's 1 hour per question. I would spend just over 5 minutes planning, 45 minutes writing, and 10 minutes to proofread. Now to take a bit of a deep dive into the marks, so you know where your marks will be coming from. For AQA, the 40 marks are split into half, 20 marks for AO3 and 20 for AO4. AO3 is all about language and grammar. To reach in the top mark band, you need a high level of accuracy as well as complex language and a wide range of vocabulary. It's good to note that occasional minor errors are allowed, such as incorrect spelling or incorrect adjective agreement, but this has to only be occasionally. AQA considers things like incorrect verb forms and incorrect use of pronouns to be serious errors. You might be thinking, what sort of complex language should I use? Well, AQA says things like subordinate clauses, the subjunctive tense, and conjugation of irregular and reflexive verbs are all examples of complexity. Now to move on to AO4, which is the content, i.e. what you write. To achieve marks in the top mark band, you must show excellent knowledge of the text, give justified opinions and views, and give lots of appropriate evidence. Feel free to pause the screen to read the mark scheme. Okay, now we're going to look at what the examiners say. These are all screenshots from Edexcel examiner reports, but they will all apply to AQA as well, as the actual writing is the same. These tips highlight the importance of planning, writing clearly, sticking to the point, and using complexity where you can. You can pause the video to read all the individual tips. The examiners always recommend planning. This is an example of a plan of a nearly full mark Edexcel essay question on La Casa de Bernarda Alba, the play that I study. The question was, analizó el simbolismo usado para representar el tema de represión en la obra. And this person separated their plan into the 3 paragraphs, La casa, el bastón y el negro de luto. So that's the first key takeaway from this example. Always separate your plan into the paragraphs you want to write. Also, they wrote down lots of quotes and keywords which they will use in their essay. The final key takeaway is to write your plan entirely in Spanish. This will reduce the amount of mistakes you will then make in your writing. Here is an example of an introduction that Edexcel states is an effective one. You can pause the video to read it. Something to consider is how short this introduction is. As it says in the examiner comment, there is additional information that shows some in-depth knowledge of the play, without deviating from the main point. So keep your introduction short and to the point. And it's not always necessary to have an introduction, you can simply start with your first point. Similarly with the conclusion, it is advised to make an analysis of the key arguments instead of paraphrasing the introduction, and you should always end with a persuasive statement. I am now going to pick out some key bits from the June 2018 and 2019 AQA examiner reports. And as before, the text I'll be focusing on is La Casa de Bernarda Alba, but the advice for students and language tips are general for all texts and films. For La Casa de Bernarda Alba specifically, you should not link Bernarda to Franco's dictatorship, as Franco's dictatorship started just after the play was written. Looking at the general advice for students in 2018, examiners said to not waste time summarizing the text and instead get straight to the point. Likewise, there is no need for a lengthy introduction explaining the context and who wrote the text, etc. Instead, you can simply get straight into your first point. For AO3, examiners were pleased to see complexity and reiterated that there is no need to shoehorn in pre-learned phrases. Some students used phrases like "Si yo fuera Bernarda, no golpearía a mis hijas," which the examiners did not like, so definitely don't do that. Finally, keep quotations to only a few words long, and don't spam quotations in your writing. In 2019, examiners said again that students made inappropriate comments about the author and context at the time, which did not link to their essay. And again, don't shoehorn in complex phrases if they don't make sense. Year on year, people seem to make the same overall mistakes, so learn from past students and don't do these things. For more general advice to students, it says ensure you know the text inside and out, and know the names of each character. With La Casa de Bernarda Alba, don't get confused with the names of the daughters. Lastly, use a wide range of vocabulary and always proofread your essay at the end. I want to draw your attention to this bottom paragraph. It says, inaccurate quotations are still very much in evidence, and many students think it is acceptable to paraphrase quotations yet still use speech marks. Students should be reminded that quotations are not required in an essay, and that the best approach is to use them only when they know they are completely accurate. For this reason, it is always better to learn short quotations, if at all. Unlike GCSE English literature, you aren't required to do any language analysis. Therefore, direct quotes aren't needed. Yet, you still need to refer to scenes and stuff in texts. That's it for this video. I've gone through the mark scheme, how to begin and end your essays, and analyzed examiner reports. I have a La Casa de Bernarda Alba exam tomorrow, so wish me luck. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, as I always have more A-level videos on the way. And for any A-level Spanish resources, head to my website. Adios!